Hi, team. This is George. Welcome to week two. We had a fantastic start to week one. Appreciate all the effort everybody's putting into it. This week should be a fascinating week. We're going to jump in a little bit more and a little bit deeper into our text. One of the things I want to bring to your attention is this chart in our textbook. It doesn't have a page number on it, but the performance analysis flow diagram is something that you should keep with you forever because that's a Mager made that so it's a simple algorithm to follow because not all the time do we want to pursue training as an option. As a matter of fact, probably 20 or 10% of the time, training is a viable option. More times than not, people want to throw training at the topic, training at something, training for their employees, but it really does not help the situation whatsoever. So we want to kind of keep that in mind because there are many valid and valuable um, resources that we can use instead of just throwing things at training. So we're going to talk about analyzing performance this week, and we're going to have some fun doing with it. First, we're going to choose our scenarios. So your scenarios come from here. If you don't like these scenarios, feel free to add one at the bottom. Add your scenario. And what it is like hard to work with. Several of these have come from students in prior classes to this, and they came up with some real ingenious ways. So I actually appreciate it when you come up with something we put in, and I also appreciate it when you use what's there because it says that what we have is working pretty good too. So now, once you pick the scenario, we're going to work this scenario. This is going to be part of our project and everything else. We're going to keep it through our entire time together. So pick something that you can really dig in deep. And if you have a certain scenario that's happening at work right now, feel free to write it in and use that because each week we're going to take on a new aspect of employee development and use this opportunity as it says here, to address the specific scenario. So if you have something that you want to look at throughout our entire class, that's when you would put your own in there. If you would just like to try to find something there that's already in here, please do that as well. But just know we're going to be using it through the rest of our 8 weeks together. Excuse me. And we're going to look at our case study key issues, and we're going to do a practice. What I like about this practice is when we click here, it's going to give us a scenario. And in this scenario, it tells us what our goal is. So pursue or not pursue, to pursue or not to pursue. That is the question. Shakespeare, I am not. Okay, well, we're learning. You are learning and development leader for a defense contractor in this one. So, and then it gives you the whole scenario here, how your company is a subcontractor and it builds these stainless steel wing fittings for the latest and greatest combat aircraft. Now, something's going wrong. Your defect rate jumped up. Do you worry about it? Do you pursue it? Do you not pursue it? How do you find out if you should or should not? So your job is to come up with a set of questions or come up with a stance on why you should or should not pursue, and then state it here in our flip grid. And the reason why this is important is because most of the time that's how you're going to be defending and talking about things like this with employee development. A lot of times it's not going to be written, it's going to be face-to-face conversation that this happens. So as people put their things in there, feel free to respond to it as well. Have some fun with it. Enjoy the process because not only are we learning how to apply what we're learning, but we're also being able to use it in a real world situation because these conversations are conversations that would probably happen on the job. Sometimes these conversations are very pleasant. Sometimes they're very difficult to be involved with. So we have to take a stand and move on from there. So I look forward to seeing how all this comes together this week. If you have any questions, comments, or anything, please feel free to email or text me. Have a great week.